Okay, welcome back. And, I said at the top of the program that we'd also be looking into another subject. Let's go over to Ebonyi State, where the governor and his deputy, including members of the House of Assembly, were removed from their positions. They were told to vacate the place and not represent themselves as their former office. Now, the Commissioner for Information, Uchenna Orji, he's in Ebonyi now, and we can speak with him on Zoom because he did send out a release that the High Court of Ebonyi State says that Ebonyi State Governor and his deputy remain in office, and declares that its judgment is one in rem and takes precedence over Federal High Court judgment. So, good morning to you, sir, Honorable Commissioner Orji. Was I accurate? That was the caption of the press release that you sent out. Are you saying that, because when I looked at, because you also attached the certified true copy of the court document, it seems like there's an adjournment for a week on the matter, so it's a temporary affair. It's not as if, it seems to me, it has really reverted everything back to where it was before. Or would you like to expatiate a bit?
Yes, that's actually the possibility. It was an expert application that was granted by the Justice Mary Judge. The parties are made to come back. So it's part of the procedure, and thereafter the issue of interlocutory application will be taken. That is after both sides have been served. And it does follow that the court is conscious of its powers under the Constitution, because the court has the same jurisdictional powers with the Federal High Court that made a subsequent declaration or a subsequent judgment. When our court is saying, no, my judgment is binding because I am a brother court, a brother judge, have given a judgment on this matter. This matter came by way of originating summons, and the issue is one, whether or not defection is an offense under the Constitution that will warrant the vacation of office of the governor or the deputy, or the both, as the case may be. And so the judge is saying, yes, I've decided on this matter. And so I am prepared to hear why it should not be enforced. And to establish the further, it does take precedent of a subsequent court decision that has the same powers or the same jurisdiction with the court. Okay.
The document that you so kindly sent, the true copy of the court document, it states specifically that an interim order of this honorable court for 7 days, subject to renewal, is hereby granted in view of the earlier judgment of, the court. Again, that just, it seems to me like this is a temporary solution. It doesn't really address all of what you need to stay in office.
Yeah, that's the way, that is part of the procedures. You come by way of expert application and to make some declarations pending when the parties involved are brought before it through serving of processes to the various parties. Now the proper hearing will be on the 16th. Okay. And thereafter, then further declaration of order of court may be made. But this is part of the procedure that the court takes, ensuring that justice is done in a matter brought before it.
Okay. Now, I have a lawyer in studio. In fact, you must forgive me. I don't believe that I actually introduced you at the top of the segment. Jide Ologun, I just took it for granted. So sorry about that, Jide, a legal practitioner. I believe the Honorable Commissioner, too, might be a legal. I'm not too sure about that. He'll confirm when next I speak with him. But so, this, when you lawyers talk, there's the matter of REMS. Explain that bit to us.
Let's start with what you just disclosed. With the heat of the matter on the table, you are likely not to have introduced Jide Ologun in the studio. And it's hot for all of us. When you talk about judgment in rem, in simple time, it means a judgment declared that is binding on the world. You see, in comparison with judgment in personam, which is between two parties, and it's an adjudication over the status of a thing or a subject matter. So what the court is saying is that the pronouncement I made
on the 28th of February.
And let's go back to the case of 28th of the pronouncement 28th of February. It was a matter brought by a candidate within APC against the governor, and the court ruled in favor of the governor. And so it's not as if it's the same matter with the sacking of the governor and his deputy and some members of the House of Assembly. But you see, when someone is drowning, you just want to come out of that, threatening procedure. And that is why you see the governor jumping everywhere now to just find a balance. And what has been granted is an interim declaration for 7 days renewable. And what is the essence of ex parte order? The essence of ex parte order is to protect a rem, so that, by the time you are attending to the substantive suit, what you are trying to defend has not been finally taken away. But having said that, also, the governor and his team, they have approached the court asking for stay of execution and appealing the judgment of the Federal High Court. In fact, it's not only the governor and his team and the members of the House of Assembly that are taking that steps. Even PDP is saying stay the execution of the order you gave to INEC to conduct another election under section 177 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. And so we have cross appeals now. But the hottest of it is that the governor does not want to leave office in the heat of all this. And that is why in the next 7 days, a lot of issues would have been fine-tuned. And you find this kind of scenario when a case is political.
Okay.
If it's not political, maybe he would have gone with the order of the court to say, let the rule of law prevail, let me step aside. But right now, it's a hot one, and that is where we are right now.
Okay. Mr. Orji, all of that fair comment, or would you like to rebut any aspect of it?
Yeah, with disrespect to my colleague, I think he addressed more of sentimental issues where he said the governor doesn't want to leave office. I think this is a rule of this is a society where there's no rule of law. The law, the Constitution does avail our dear government the right of appeal. And even the rule of the Federal High Court does say that that INEC has within 90 days, not within a day, not within 1 hour, within 90 days to issue. And now that the governor has, in exercise of his right of appeal, has sought and obtained a stay. I know how a stay applies. The moment you make an application for a stay, it in itself does apply, as a stay. And then it applies. That means he has really confirmed the provisions of the law with the rule of law. So I know that he's not willing. That should mean that he found out of time. It would have been a different case. He has this right to exercise it up to the point of the Supreme Court, the final court of the land. So I don't know what my learned friend is talking about. Now, he failed also to appreciate the fact that it's the same subject of defection. He was trying to suggest that the Federal High Court has a different issue for determination. No, it is the same issue of defection. And the State High Court of Ebonyi said, no, your defection is in order. The Constitution has not got any provision that is against your defection. And the Constitution does recognize that the reason for you to vacate office is for 3 reasons. One is on account of death or incapacitation, on account of deliberate resignation, on account of impeachment, in line with section 177 or 188 of the Constitution. And the court found and established that he has not offended any of these provisions of the Constitution. And so going to Federal High Court and getting to see a different thing, the governor, in obedience to the rule of law, had to appeal. He had options of not even to appeal, because when 2 courts of the same powers make that a different judgments? Where do you follow? One favors you, one doesn't favor you. And you are meant to follow one. May I ask the council, which one do you follow? You must get one to follow one. Why you allow the Court of Appeal to determine the whole situation? That is the exact position as it were in Ebonyi State. So the governor has not disrespected the rule of law in any way. And if you are saying that he should have stepped aside, that means you better not be a very, let me not use a language that is not good. Okay. If you are having your client, I'm sure you will not advise your client to step aside while he has a lot of rights to exercise.
Okay. Mr. Orji, one moment, please, because Ada has called in from Jos. Good morning, Ada in Jos.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning to your guest, Ada calling from Jos. Very interesting. Honestly speaking, I have my ears glued to the television. I just have to move away to be able to answer this call. You know what? My concern in all this is let the judiciary, INEC, National Assembly, let them do what they can do to stop this idea of defecting with one's office. I think the issue is defecting with one's office. I don't know whether the commissioner was from Ebonyi State. Let him get it clear. The problem is
he's the commissioner for information and strategy, Mr. Orji.
The commissioner for
Mr. Orji.
What I'm saying is that defecting with one's office. Let us get it right. Let the Supreme Court tell us if the vote belongs to the party, then so be it. So we get it straight. This idea of we don't know where the vote belongs to. If one bread they'll say it belongs to the individual, another bread they'll say it belongs to the party. Let them sort it out once and for all, so that you can put them in check. We're not a banana republic. What is going on? It's really unfortunate, And what I want to know is that this flagrant abuse of the rule of law. It was before when that pronouncement was made. I thought the governor would have gone straight to do what he did now, than having a press conference and making a lot of remarks that is not unbecoming of the governor. We should check all this daughter language. What is happening in Nigeria? Well,
okay. I do believe the governor, has since, apologized. But thank you very much for calling in, Ada. Mr. Orji, did you want to relate to that before I could bring you to studio?
Yes, I want to say that until and unless the National Assembly does legislate, which some people are already canvassing for, on the issue of defection, it is not an issue recognized by law, and so it is not an offense. And let me say that there have been judicial authorities by the Supreme Court on this matter. Even in the case of AG Federation, 2 others, and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, 3 others, reported in 2007. This matter was laid to rest. That the issue of defection is as a matter of right, fundamental right under the Constitution for freedom of association, and that is inalienable. That cannot be really deprived of any person, whether you are a governor or an ordinary person. You have your right of association, and until a legislation is made, there is nothing we can stand on, and that is why we rightly say that there was an error, a very avoidable error in law made by Justice Ego in this matter. Justice Inya Ego, with due respect. Because if several legal analysts have spoken on this, senior advocate Robert Clark, very respected lawyer in Nigeria, son Mike Ozekome had also made this point. But unless he doesn't want this matter to be tested in appeal court and Supreme Court, they cannot stand the furnace of those appellant jurisdictions. And my learned colleague knows that the current position is that if you're a candidate, vote is made to you, not to the party. Do you know why? And the poll is the electorate that vote, not political party. Political party is a vehicle. It's just a mere vehicle, an agent of the candidate that helps the candidate to win. The real owner of that vote is the candidate, and he doesn't own it from the party. After all, some party members may not like to vote.
But that statement you made right there, it directly contradicts, sort of popular wisdom by now, given to us by the law, that our votes cast belong to the party that was sponsoring whichever the candidate is. So you've heard this.
It's not the popular position. It's no longer the popular position. My learning council knows that.
Okay.
Recent judicial decisions have said that that is anachronistic.
Okay.
And that is not tenable.
All right,
even INEC would always say a party, so person of so political party is hereby declared, not political party. The owner of that victory is not party, is that candidate.
All right,
and that is why somebody from another party can come and vote for you.
Mr. Orji, 1 second, please. Mr. George, thank you for holding on. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and I also greet your guests.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, we have to be honest to ourselves. What we are seeing is simply a political judgment. Well, we are in this country when governors have been decamping from one party to another. The governor of Edo State decamped from APC to PDP 2 months to the election. And he won that election, and today is a PDP governor. PDP did not see anything wrong in that. There's a lawyer in front of you there. The Constitution itself did not say when a governor defects that he should lose his seat. Majority of the people at the National Assembly have defected from one party to the other. So why is this one different?
All right.
It's because of 2023. You also talked about somebody that the votes belong to a political party. The Constitution has just been amended now to give way to private, what do they call it, independent candidates.
Independent candidature.
Independent, yes. So if you vote for that person and that person eventually joins a political party, what will happen to him? Would they say he has decamped? That the votes belong to who?
Okay then. All right, Mr. George, thank you very much for contributing. Now to hear from you, Jide, what do you think about, because you've, especially as the commissioner has explained it, you've heard his point of view.
Yes, I quite appreciate the submissions of the commissioner, and I laid a foundation that once a matter is political, you have various angles to it. And I'm glad
Mr.
we
George
have
also felt it
exactly. We have the Court of Appeal, we have the Supreme Court. If you go and study the Imo State case, it went through the stages all the way to the Supreme Court, and it was at the Supreme Court that everything got overturned. And that is why some people in Imo are even still referring to the governor as a Supreme Court governor. So it's neither here nor there. There will be laws to argue, and that is why when it comes to litigation, you marshal your points. And so what the governor and his team, what they are doing now is legitimate. You have the right to appeal. You have the right to move to the next level. And it is not for any one of us to tell the judiciary, the court, what to do. They will look at the facts of the case and come to a conclusion. And again, a lesson to learn here is that the human society is dynamic. So things happen. I recall this test of votes belonging to candidate or party was tested in the case of Kogi State, where at a very critical moment in the electoral process, one of the candidates passed on. And we saw what happened. And that is why we are asking, let's go and look at the electoral amendment and law amendment that just came out. Some of these issues are being captured. Okay. Right now, we are beginning to talk about independent candidate. We are beginning to talk about, recently, the National Assembly came up to say the only recommended approach at the primary is direct primary. And some stakeholders said, no, it's been amended. So we keep amending the laws and bridge gaps like this. But as we sit here today, what we have done by having the three arms of government is to give the judiciary the exclusive mandate to interpret the laws.
Okay, 1 second, please, because I got to take Mazi Okoro for. Again, thank you, sir, for holding on.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, our guests.
Good morning.
You see, Sayori, to me, if you look at the whole scenario, the whole atomic bomb and the whole crossroads, the governor himself made a very big mistake for proposing for presidency. Now, why am I saying this? Advisors we have in Nigeria, they are just looking for their pocket. They will just come there, bring out a mountain that is very, very fast to bring it to your third step as if it is easy. You see, advisors create a lot of problems. Now, look at the senatorial seat there, where he's coming from, and the president person there, you see, that is another tackle for him, which he was proposing. Now, he cannot concentrate right now as we are talking. Agreed that it's going to the court, appeal court, Supreme Court, everything. But the question is this. There's what we call integrity in office. There's what we call legacy in office. There's what we call you have the potentiality as a human being. When you leave an office, people will say, yes, when this man was here, this was what happened. This is the type of test or the type of the caliber he or she it should be. But the question is that as it stands now, the governor says, as far as I'm looking, when he's talking on the television, anytime he's really confused. Confused in the sense, no matter the type of advice they will give him now, I will advise him. In as much as they have carried whether to something sand, that does not imply the point that, like the guests have just said some minutes ago, that let's allow the judiciary to take the course. Fine and good, but the question is, I'm not advising the governor. You should call the people within his own circle that they should not go and create no problem, because sometimes, because he better to say one, he lost the PDP office and pocket the key, which was wrong. I could have allowed it to float. Why is so APC float?
Right.
But he took the integrity that as the governor of the state is the upper person, which was wrong.
Okay, Mazi.
So right now,
Mazi, thank you very much for calling in. I've got to, I've got to give the Honourable Commissioner, Uchenna Orji, time to respond and react to that in closing.
Thank you for that thought-provoking comments. But let me tell you that all those standards, those parameters that you raised, the governor has integrity, performance. So I will only invite you to Ebonyi State to see for yourself. And this man you are talking about, if you say that his mistake is that he has shown indication that he wants to contest for president, I want to assure you that the people of Nigeria are behind him. Because in 2023, I can tell you it's a defining moment. We need people with capacity like Governor Umahi. He mentioned party office. That party office, if you're interested, he built it. It became the biggest party office in the whole of Africa. And by the way, has no business with that any longer. But they have issues with the laws of the state. And so it concerns them. Everybody must obey the law of the state, whether you are party A or party B. Let me assure you that if you like have your different opinion, your sentiments about our dear governor, but the people of Nigeria know he has got the capacity. If you're talking about people that are corrupt, people that have led this country, and our people that represented Southeast in this country, that had national opportunities, they didn't do nothing. Our governor has set a great record that no state can say that he has not done well at all. Come to Ebonyi, you see for yourself. Right. But let me assure you that the governor is more than conquerors. This is the little thing. He was a deputy governor. It was as if you can never see any deputy governor that will be governor. He became the first deputy governor in the history of the world. In this kind of circumstance of battle to become governor, and today he has done fantastically well. So therefore, you have to support him come 2023.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Uchenna Orji, Commissioner for Information in Ebonyi State, I want to thank you very much for coming on our show today. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Indeed. So, well, Aluta continua. I mean, this matter will continue. The Judgement ex-party, I mean, that whole issue, it's just been moved forward a bit, bumped forward a bit. We'll come back to the issue. There are processes, and as he was saying, we've taken one of the available remedies.
Like I said, I mean, he's moving in the right direction. He needs to rescue the situation. Okay. And these are all the approaches that must be brought together. So we wish all the stakeholders the best. And again, something commendable is our democracy is being tested. And wherever we find gaps in our laws, we try and bridge those lacunas so that we can move steadily in the direction of good governance, taking over politicking. So it's, I mean, for me, it's part of the whole process.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jide Ologun, Public Affairs Analyst, lawyer and Public Affairs Analyst. And once more, our thanks to Uchenna Orji, Commissioner of Information in Ebonyi State.